In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this work session regular meeting of the Franklin Township Council was made as required, indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place at the Municipal Building at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, February 27, 2024.
If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation by Councilman Karazi. I pledge allegiance to
As we gather here today as members of the Township Council, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our services to fellow citizens and to our community. Keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Francois?
Here.
Councilman Karazi?
Here.
Mayor Kramer?
Here.
Councilman Onijaka?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Potosnik? Councilwoman Udine?
Here.
Councilman Vasanella?
Here.
Councilman Wright?
We're on to item number 5 on the agenda. Copies of the agenda are available up there near the clerk. First is a commendation for Charles Maria by Councilwoman Shipa Udin.
Good evening. Okay, all right, perfect. All right. Whereas the Township of Franklin is benefited by their employees who contribute their time, talents, and skills for the betterment of our community. And whereas Charles Maria has and continues to serve the community of Franklin Township, Somerset County as follows. Fire Marshal in the Fire Prevention Department for over 29 years and holds the titles of Senior Fire Marshal and Department Training Officer. Volunteer firefighter with Somerset Volunteer Fire and Rescue Company number 1 for over 36 years, with being line officer for 11 years and 6 years as chief. Appointed Commissioner in 2022 of the New Jersey Fire Safety Commission, assisting and advising NJDCA on the New Jersey Uniform Fire Safety Act. Fire Service Instructor at the Somerset County Emergency Services Training Academy for over 24 years and is currently the Senior Lead Instructor. And whereas Charles Maria has received numerous Fire District number 1 and Department honors and awards, including Life Saving Cross, Distinguished Volunteer Service Award, and the Richard Vedder Knights of Columbus Volunteer Service Award. And whereas Charles Maria has Fire Service Instructor, has designed and created numerous training courses that were taught to firefighters nationwide and Canada. And whereas Charles Maria was asked to review the Chief Officer Principle and Practices as published by Jones and Bartlett, which is used nation and worldwide to teach fire officers. And whereas Charles Maria submitted a short story that was published in succeeding edition of Chief Officer. Now, therefore, we, the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, New Jersey, on behalf of its residents, do hereby thank and commend Charles Maria for his devotion and dedication to our community, its residents, and firefighters. Oh, he goes by Chuck.
Thank you.
To his friends.
I'd like to thank the council and specifically Councilperson Udine for recommending me for this. It's been a long career, long time, and I'm just glad that I could give back to my fire service community. I wanted to thank my family, my fire service family, my office family, all here sharing this moment with me. Thank you very much.
I've known Chuck for at least 15 years, I think. He's a good friend, and everyone here who's ever had their house saved or themselves saved by a firefighter, it's probably because of the training he developed. So he's a great asset to Franklin, and he well deserves this. Thank you.
Can we ask all the fire prevention team and community to show up here, including the family, can get a picture?
Next, we have the Environmental Commission Stewardship Award, Sarah Malone. Your show.
Sarah Malone has been on the Shade Tree Commission for, oh, is this on? Okay. Sarah Malone here has been on the Shade Tree Commission for over 10 years, and she's come to retire. And we want to commend her and offer this plaque. I want to mention a little bit about what she's done, which was written by Arnold Schmidt, who's also on the Shade Tree Commission. Oh, into the mic, yes. Okay. Chair and member, Franklin Township Shade Tree Commission, member since 2013. While Sarah was a member of the Shade Tree Commission, she was instrumental in advancing the care and visibility of the tree canopy in Franklin Township. Sarah worked tirelessly to educate the public through many Arbor Day events, maintaining Franklin Township's Tree City USA certification. She recruited several new members to the Shade Tree Commission and developed plans to increase the use of automated tools such as iTree to measure, manage, and maintain canopy cover in Franklin. She contributed thousands of hours volunteer time to help manage the shade trees of Franklin Township, which will produce environmental and community benefits for generations of residents. And we have this plaque that says, in recognition of outstanding efforts of environmental stewardship. Presented to Sarah Malone. Arnold, do you want to add something to it, or you're all set? Okay. Okay, good.
I don't have much to say other than thank you very much. This is quite an honor. It's a big surprise. Thank you, Arnie, for recommending me. And thank you, Mayor, for many Arbor Days. For the Environmental Commission, obviously.
We have a motion to open to the public.
Seconded.
Moved in second, and all in favor of opening to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are open to the public. 5 minutes a person, may only speak once, no yielding of time. Please state your name and address when you come up.
There you go. Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Egan Nastis. I've lived in the township for over 50 years. I know I look younger, but it was our first house, and we're still there. We raised 5 children, and we moved here for the quality of life. And we want to thank you for that, because we have enjoyed a quality of life, and we know that it's hard. It's hard to plan. It's hard to be prudent in planning. And it's hard to focus on that quality of life because you have a lot of vested stakeholders that ask you to do different things, and balance is really critical. Since we've moved here, actually, this is my second meeting. My first meeting was many years ago when a developer wanted to put a strip mall right here. Yes, in this area. You probably weren't here then. But a group of us fought it, and we were successful. And now you have this beautiful municipal building. You have an area where people can gather and celebrate. It used to be a farm, or it was farmed. Over the years, the traffic here has gotten horrific. And it takes us, we live 75 Van Doren Avenue, it takes us sometimes 15 minutes just to make a left turn onto Amwell Road. So when I heard that we were going to rejuvenate the corner of Easton Avenue and JFK, I started thinking of the impact of traffic because we're experiencing it critically here. I would ask that if you do rejuvenate, you rejuvenate it with a mall and without apartments. I think that apartments, if this is a plan, because I'm hearing that it might be, would be about 300 apartments, 200 apartments, double that with cars. I don't think that JFK can support that. You have a school there, you're going to increase traffic. JFK is already a conduit from Easton Avenue all the way down to Livingston Avenue over to North Brunswick to Route 1. It's hard enough to navigate the traffic without bringing something in that I don't believe we need. I think that if we want high-rise apartments or apartments that are larger, we have New Brunswick. They have high-rise apartments and they can sustain it. I think for us, number one, it's not necessary. Number two, it's not going to be sustainable. And number three, it's going to have an impact on the quality of life for the current residents. I think we need to focus on them and what it is that we can offer them rather than increasing residency, infrastructure. And also, we can't forget that Easton Avenue right there is a flood zone. So those of you who have trafficked that when there's been a deluge, know what I'm talking about. And I don't think there's any way that we've ever been able to correct it since my husband and I have lived here. So thank you for listening to me. I hope that I've given you some things to think about in terms of a resident's point of view and how that might impact the quality of the lives of a lot of people here. And again, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening. My name is Guy Catapano. I live at 45 McAfee Road, and I've been in this township for 51 years. I'm here to oppose any development along Easton Avenue corridor, specifically the old Kmart building on Easton Avenue and JFK Boulevard. I am not here to debate the legal issues of this development, but to discuss the intolerable traffic issues on Easton Avenue that this other development will cause. The county has declared Easton Avenue to be one of not the worst roads in Somerset County because of the rate of accidents. The increase in traffic from development bringing population growth, warehouse development, bringing more heavy trucks, and the development of the Helix in New Brunswick, which will undoubtedly add traffic to the route from 287 to New Brunswick and return from on Easton Avenue. The favorite statement is Easton Avenue is a county road, and I know that the proposed $1 million study is underway. The statement of it's a county road just puts off the issue. The surrounding communities, Somerville, Bridgewater, Hillsborough, Manville, and others, have negotiated via compromise many changes on county roads. traffic direction changes, speed limit changes, no right turns on red lights, better signage, with the county approval as well as local police traffic patrols. The $1 million study at best will not help this situation with the final concept paper developed in the summer of 2025. This means that changes would not go into contract, construction started, and implemented until beyond 2027. If resident input is ignored and no action is taken by this council that would represent the leadership roles you were elected to put forth, there will not be any changes that will help the current situation in enough time. There are a number of changes that could be implemented via negotiation with the county commissioners. I will not detail them here, but I will tell you there's a group of residents who have been working on these issues and would like to discuss these recommendations with you. My question is, why is this council has not considered this a priority issue over the implementation of bamboo regulations, signage for cannabis operations, or contracts for items not a priority? We are talking about lives that have been lost and near misses with auto accidents on this road. My wife and I have experienced 2 accidents and numerous near misses, and I know other residents have experienced the same. I would like to call for this council, along with County Commissioner and Township Police, to hold a meeting with residents to discuss the Eastern Avenue issue and not approve any further development in the Eastern Avenue corridor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Hello, Valerie Jeswiak, 30 Highwood Road, Somerset, and I've lived here since 1961. My father and my family have built 4 houses in the township, and I was here last 2 meetings. We discussed the Kmart development, redevelopment, and as I predicted last time, I knew the developers would come back. They just would. My theory is they just come back until they get what they want. And they've got the pockets, the wherewithal to do it. I just ask that for this once, could we once have 1 square inch not redeveloped into more residential in this township? That's what I would just love to see. There are other options. I know we're not getting big box stores in there, but there's plenty of other stuff. I would love to not have to ride Easton Ave to 287 every time I need a screwdriver or a hammer. Things like that. My brother just had an accident on Easton. That's what Mr. Catapano referred to. I'm on the little committee on Easton Avenue safety. And, there's been so much development where it doesn't look to me like anybody took into consideration the traffic on Easton Avenue. So I don't know. I just said, I just asked that you please reconsider. There's so many things that the residents would rather see here. I'm not a fan of this high density housing. If you've seen Hillsborough, it's just everywhere. And we have suburban sprawl. We don't need urban sprawl now. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I know you don't all know me. My name is Sue Ann Durkash, and I'm president of the Meadows Foundation. I've been involved with that group for about 10 years. We are a small group of volunteers who work very hard with our hands and our hearts to maintain and keep open for the public 4 historic sites in Franklin: the Van Dyne Van Wickle House, the Hageman Farm, Sarah, the Wyckoff Gerritsen House, and the Van Luce Dam House. And I would just like to thank the council for their ongoing support and the support of the township. Everybody who comes to these houses just absolutely adores it and has a wonderful time. And we've had people visit us from not only other towns, counties, and states, but other countries. And they just love everything that we have here for them. We had one gentleman come all the way from the Netherlands to do a study on Dutch housing from the early period because they don't have it in the Netherlands, because they didn't have lumber. They were already so developed by that point that they didn't have any timber structures. So he came all the way from the Netherlands to study ours. And he was just absolutely thrilled and fascinated. And we get that reaction a lot. So I'd just like to thank everybody, the mayor, the council, and Bob for all of your support and all of your endeavors on our behalf. Thank you.
Do you want to give a web address so people can join?
TheMeadowsFoundation.org. Make sure you put the word "the" in there. TheMeadowsFoundation.org. And yes, membership is a whopping, for seniors, $10 a year. But every little bit absolutely helps. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And just to add to that, there's another part of the website where you can fill in your own number and become a patron, so you don't have to be limited by a $10 donation.
Terry Thorson, 18 Labette Drive. Let me welcome Mayor Kramer as one of the newest members of the Meadows, having recently joined, and I encourage all the other council members to join. As she said, a whopping $10 for seniors, $15 if you're not a senior, $20 for an entire family. It's a bargain. Okay? But I'm really here. But I'm really here to talk also about the 11 properties. There are 200 proposed units. 131 of them are 2- and 3-bedroom apartments. So I'm assuming kids that are going to be added into our school system. I'm curious, for the traffic study, were school buses taken into account, because they're not mentioned anywhere there. The traffic estimates were generated using Land Use Code 220 for low-rise housing by the Institute of Transportation Engineer, and according to it, the weekday peak, 85 cars will leave. Assuming only one vehicle per apartment, which is highly unlikely, and excluding school buses, that means only about 35% of the cars leave at the peak time. I guess they're assuming a lot of stay-at-home moms or work from home or flex hours. The estimates generated by the Land Use Code 820 for a fully functional shopping center, which it is not now, by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, says that on a weekday PM peak, 273 will enter. Look at those PM numbers. It means 166 additional vehicles entering during the PM. There are no real-life measurements, just estimates from a generalized chart. Anyone in this room could have gone to the codes and constructed this report. The only way to get real numbers is to sit in the parking lot and count the number of vehicles entering and leaving now, not when it was a functioning department store, because we really don't have a department store in Franklin anymore. The left turn onto JFK is incredibly dangerous now, with the slope of the road from the left impeding your vision, the jug handle directly opposite the exit feeding cars onto JFK, and the traffic coming directly across Eastern Avenue. Currently, most people will not attempt that left, preferring to turn right and make a looping detour through local streets to get back to JFK. The traffic study says no increase in traffic. Levin's environmental impact statement mentions the increase in traffic. Which of their application statements is true? Building a densely occupied building on what is Somerset County's most dangerous road is foolhardy. As to stormwater, the developer's calculations do not seem to be up to date with the 2023 data. The 10-year storm in their calculations is about 5 inches. We had that amount in one weekend in December, and 4 inches the weekend after. And Eastern Avenue was flooded from JFK to Foxwood both times, precisely the area that this project would impact. The only exit from that parking lot would be that dangerous left-hand turn onto JFK. The impervious cover is supposed to be reduced to 73.4%. Why not stick to our requirement of 70%? Why have regulations if we constantly negate them? We have an opportunity to reduce flooding. Why not take it? Cutting out parking spaces would be the obvious answer. But of course, their application refers to the impossibility of adding another level. I'm assuming they're referring to underground parking, which can't be done there because of the high water table. The parking spaces seem excessive. 200 apartments, even upping the number to giving them 2 parking spaces per apartment, and a third one for a guest, adds up to 600. They're asking for over 1,000. The shops that are there probably don't need 400 at any particular time. All 325 of the trees must be replanted. They have to be native trees, and they have to reduce the runoff. No contributions to the Shade Tree Fund. $300 per missing tree doesn't make up for the danger and the damage that the floods cause. The variances. The new application cuts their variances from 6 to 4. And why do they cut? Not the height of the building. not the increased floor area ratio, not failing to reduce the impermeable cover to meet our town standards, not conforming to our zoning use, signs. They cut out 2 variances about the size of signs and if they could put signs on a building. So they're going to come in there and say, we cut 1/3 of the variances we were requesting, but what they cut was stuff that was probably stuck in there so they knew they could bring it out later on. In addition, with the future in mind, more EV stations are needed. It's easier in the construction initially than to retrofit. Forget the minimal state and federal regulations. If we're looking to the future, we need more EV stations. Also, mandate that all Franklin new flat-top construction must have green roofs. That means wind, solar, and plantings. The view from the DNR Canal has to be considered in winter when the project is completed, not 10 years down the road, in the summer when the trees are all leafed out and mature. And they mentioned public transportation. There is none.
That's your time.
Can I have one more sentence? Just one
Yes.
more. Circumstances change. But just because the Levin Corporation made what has become 50 years later a bad business decision doesn't mean the township has to make them whole.
Thank you.
Is Lorraine Farr. I live on Academy Road. I'm 75. I've lived in this township 61 years. I've seen a lot of changes go on in this town, and I've not objected to any of them. I've always lived close to Easton Avenue. Right now I'm on about 4 or 5 houses off of Easton Avenue, and before that I lived on Runyon. I have no objection to change, but this is not a good idea. I don't have the facts as other people have, but I think we all know what the facts are. It's not a good idea. I think that is your job as representing the people. It's your responsibility to consider this. We're not just here to complain because we feel like complaining or because we're older and they're senior citizens and we just don't like anything to change in our life. That's not it. We are committed to this town. Many of us grew up here. We stayed here. I'm retired here, and I'm not going anywhere. And it's not a good idea what you're going to be doing in the Kmart shopping center. The traffic is just going to be unbelievable. And I tell you, because we're so close to Easton Avenue, when that's flooded and that's down, we can't even get out of our street. So I just think that, I don't want to be sarcastic, but I think it is your job to listen to what everybody has to say, because we're not just spouting it because we have nothing to do on a Tuesday night. So please consider our thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Theodore Chase, Jr., 159 Old Georgetown Road. I come tonight mainly to ask whether there has been any progress on developing a plan for watering trees that have been planted, because I want to see us plant more trees, particularly east of Franklin Boulevard, which has a lot less tree canopy than most of the rest of the township. I might also ask whether council is considering the suggested change to the tree ordinance, which would reduce the minimum size at which trees are considered when a site plan has to specify how many trees they will either plant or donate to the Shade Tree Fund. We have a lot of money in the Shade Tree Fund already, but I want to see us get going on planting more trees. We had a few trees planted, not by the township, but by PSC&G last fall, and I hope they will be properly watered in the spring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Kiki Anastasakis, 3204 Enclave Circle. I live in Canal Walk, but I'm here tonight to join my voice to those friends and neighbors who live closer to the JFK, Rutgers Plaza, Kmart, Levin Properties project. The more I learn about this particular project, the more I'm astounded by the last 4 or 5 years that this particular company has tried in different iterations to introduce this project of theirs, the multi-residential apartment complex in a commercially zoned mall. And my understanding is that they have submitted an idea, they have withdrawn the idea, they have gone in front of the planning board, then they withdrew from the planning board. It's clear to me that they're trying to wiggle their way through, because what they look at is their profit margin, their shareholders, if they have any. But we as residents, although I live in Canal Walk, I cross Eastern Avenue just like most of the other people here and those who are not here, to go to the hospital, to go to the doctors, to go to see my friends in Highland Park, to go to the restaurants in New Brunswick, and on, to go to take friends to the emergency room in the various hospitals. It's a big deal. This project is a big deal, and it is beyond me, or rather it's not beyond me, but it's actually very surprising to me. I would say that Levin Properties is irresponsible in trying to propose a project at a time when a federally funded traffic study is trying to deal with a county road that has the horrible reputation of having several fatal accidents over the past several years. And it's not only a flood zone, and here we are with a traffic study with several county and federal agencies trying to correct and find a solution to the problem of Eastern Avenue. And here is this corporation that, it seems to me, the only thing, they cannot wait for the traffic study to be completed. They cannot wait to see what needs to be done so that not so many people get killed on Eastern Avenue, okay? But they cannot wait to improve their bottom line, because that's what corporations do. Well, as citizens and residents of Franklin, we're very fortunate, because you, esteemed council, you are our defense. You are our defense against corporations like Levin Properties, to protect the safety and the quality of life of those who live in the area and those who traverse Eastern Avenue for so many reasons. So let's use our Franklin first approach, not Levin Properties first. They are doing their work. They are doing what they're supposed to do as corporations. They are for profit, so they clearly are looking after their profit margin. Let's look at Franklin as a whole, not only the economic development, but also the well-being and the safety of the residents. And as I said, we rest our hope and our desire to maintain a safe lifestyle in Franklin Township, and we are counting on you and I know that you can protect us as you have done in the past. So thank you very much. I know it's a difficult job. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
My name is Lorraine Suarez, and I live at 1228 Easton Avenue. That's between Academy Road, on the south side of Academy Road, to JFK Boulevard, or the jug handle, as we call it, the Taco Bell jug handle. Needless to say, it's a terrible place to live. I'm very curious to know the council has seen any of the marketing plans that Levin has had prepared for the existing location without a development for a high-rise apartment building. Has anybody seen anything of their marketing plan?
So we answer at the end of public session.
Pardon me?
We answer at the end of public session.
Okay, so all my questions will be answered at the end?
I'm not going to promise that, but I will try.
All right. I was wondering if what the other options were that Levin had for that development at that corner. So I probably will have to wait till the end for that answer as well.
When you say marketing plan, do you mean marketing plan for things other than?
An apartment building, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Did they suggest anything else to go into that piece of land that's been sitting there for almost 5 years, empty, and it's deteriorating before our eyes because we've allowed it to happen? There are a great number of apartment complexes already in Franklin Township. I'm not sure why we need another one. Is any member of the council in favor of this change, a variance change from retail to residential? It's now zoned for commercial properties. Is anyone answer? Or do I have to wait for that answer till the end as well? Has any consideration been made for the police department, fire department, emergency services, schools, sewer system, utilities such as water, natural gas, electricity that would be needed for this type of development? A traffic study stating that 200 apartment complex would not increase traffic, but decrease traffic to the area doesn't make any sense to any reasonable person. Has anybody, any reasonable-minded person has to admit that bringing 200 apartments to this location would exasperate an already dangerous traffic location. In fact, as I understand, $1 million has been allocated for a full-blown traffic study by the state or the county or the federal government for Easton Avenue, and this is the exact location that has been the most difficult for us to transcend. Approving such development for this site before the final conclusion of a traffic study doesn't make any sense. And if anybody in this audience or in this council believes that the development would not be a detriment to the town, I have a Brooklyn Bridge to sell. As a 45-year resident of Easton Avenue in Franklin Township, I have witnessed the increased development from Easton Avenue being a single road in each direction to a double road, and it's been a nightmare. Traffic in the middle of the night is going so fast through Easton Avenue that my bedroom physically shakes. And I have a 2.5-year-old great-granddaughter that sleeps over on Friday nights, and her first thing to say to me is, "Grammy, traffic, trucks, noise." 2.5 years old. It's not my imagination. I think that it's an additional burden that a situation like this would be allowed to happen. Most certainly, it would increase traffic without a doubt, would increase accidents without a doubt, and increase taxes at some point for the residents of Franklin Township, which we have already are burdened with very high taxes. Hopefully the council members will think of their residents and not of a developer that does not reside in the town. and I respectfully appreciate your listening to my complaints and my hope that the council really takes this to serious consideration. As you can see, there's many, many people in the town that do not want this development to happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. Shirley Tallman, 57 Tallman Lane in Canal Walk. And I didn't really have a prepared statement here, but a couple of things came up today. First of all, I want to register my position as well on this project. I don't know that there's much more to say about it. I think people have certainly given voice to the issues, the real issues, and I also follow suit with the issues that have been stated here. I am not in favor of the project. I don't use Easton Avenue for the very reasons that the last speaker mentioned. To me, it's a death trap, truly. I've been on it. I don't like it. I think we could do a lot more, perhaps, controlling some of this traffic, but it would be major investments to change the road patterns. The other thing is a question. I had quite an extensive conversation with a good friend of mine who I've known for years, a very thoughtful person. She and her husband now live in the state of Washington. Along that line, I also have a goddaughter who, with her physician husband, moved to California, and this is all around the same time. My goddaughter and her husband and children returned home. The couple that I just mentioned that moved to Washington, they're there because they have family there, so they won't be returning. But both are very concerned with water shortage. And my question is this. I know that we're bordered on an ocean as well as the West Coast. You would think, well, why would we have water problems, a shortage of water? But with growth, development, and that's what we're talking about here, further development, and a fair number of apartments coming in, there are more people that we need to satisfy with drinkable water, pure drinkable water. My question is this. Do we have a long-range plan for water, drinkable water, in our township? Simply that. I'll be interested in hearing if we do, and where we're at with it, and what the forecast is for how much more we can develop, how many more people we can bring in here and provide, guarantee drinkable water. Thank you.
So hello, I'm Catherine Sportak. I live at 6 Larson Road. You may know me. I walked around with my dog and I collected over 1,350 some odd signatures for a petition to stop this development. Why, you may ask? Well, I walk JFK, and I can tell you I've seen atrocious driving. I've seen people crossing the double line. I see speeding, and it's a matter of time before there's a very bad accident where it ends up in someone's backyard, which I clearly don't want to happen. Also, did you know, which you probably do, that Easton Avenue ranks as number 3 on the list of worst highway crash corridors in the state of New Jersey, not the county, the state. This is per NJ.com. There's also, as everyone's mentioned, a $1 million grant to study how to improve traffic. There were 270 crashes on Easton Avenue from 2014 to 16. There were also deaths. So if we add 200 apartments to this high traffic area, please tell me, how does this improve traffic? Because it doesn't. 200 apartments translates to at least 400 plus cars. As it is now, when I try to make a left-hand turn onto JFK, I can't. I have to make a right-hand turn, do a U-turn, and do a left-hand turn. And I can't begin to tell you how many times I get stuck behind someone also trying to make a left-hand turn. So I end up making my situation worse by trying to get around traffic. There really is no great answer some days. So more development will create more gridlock. It will require more lights and potentially an extra traffic lane on JFK. So now we're going to lose our greenway. We're going to lose our walkway. You can't add additional lanes to Easton Avenue to alleviate the traffic. You have a canal. You have water. I mean, are you going to try to build on top of the canal? Because that's pretty much the only answer you've got, or eminent domain. There's no shoulder that you can create a third lane like they do on Route 1 during high traffic times. So what's the answer to the additional traffic? Again, I ask. Landings Lane, Easton Avenue, do you know how many people go through red lights and create horrible traffic accidents with dump trucks I've seen? I mean, it's very, very scary, the traffic on this road. Okay, so I'm asking, who is looking out for the safety of the residents? There's no need for more apartments, but there is a need for some small stores and some restaurants. We have a store desert and almost a restaurant desert. As of 5 p.m. today, there were over 400 apartments available for rent in Somerset on apartments.com. Please check it out. That doesn't include the apartments that are in flight getting built now. So you can add to that number as to what's going to be available. Okay, so how much more overdevelopment do we need? At what point do we decide that traffic is so bad it's unlivable and people leave? When do quality of life and traffic begin to matter for the residents? We've already had one road rage incident on Easton Avenue where shots were fired at another driver. Do you remember that? It wasn't that long ago. They were fighting over a lane of traffic. Someone wanted to get in and there was no room, and so they took out a gun and they fired a gun. Twice, I believe. So how many more people will die before we add traffic lights to JFK if we allow this apartment complex? You know you have to have several fatalities before you add traffic lights. It could be you, it could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be your neighbors that ends up dying before these traffic lights are added and you add these apartments. So that decision you're making today could kill people. And I want you to think long and hard about that. It could be someone you know and love. Again, I have to ask, when does the safety and quality of life begin for the residents? Thank you.
My name is Connie Rossi. I live on Hughes Road, which is right off of JFK. I agree with what everybody's saying. That's why I'm here tonight. Sometimes it is so difficult to try to make a left-hand turn already when it's rush hour on JFK. And I just hope that you will consider what everybody's saying here. Thank you.
Jim Johnston, 34 Norwich Place. I want to talk about my favorite subject, warehouses. Okay, I'm not against warehouses. I think, like I said before, warehouses should be put on Atrium Drive and Davidson Avenue, and that is the reason. That is the main reason why you passed that ordinance 3 years ago. But now we now have to deal with yet another warehouse that's being put in a very inappropriate place. Like I said here last time, across the street from the ShopRite on Elizabeth Avenue, 785 Old New Brunswick Road, the Onyx Warehouse. Last week we had a planning board meeting, February 21st, and I wanted to go on record, if I'm not mistaken, that that was the biggest crowd I have ever seen in these council chambers. We had 300 people in this room, wall-to-wall people, standing room only. The crowd was overflowing into the lobby out there. You wouldn't believe, you had to be here to see it. I still can't believe it. So I wanted to go on record. We had this massive turnout. That should show you how strong is the sentiment in this town against warehouses. Okay, and so I cannot emphasize that enough. That's the good news. But the bad news is the chairman of the Planning Board Commission, Michael Orsini, he didn't see it that way. I think you all know, we've complained about him in the past. The past 2 years, we've been complaining about Chairman Orsini with the B9 warehouse. He is not what I would call a tactful person. Okay, he has a tendency to be rude and condescending. When those 300 people were here, he acted like he wanted to get rid of us as quickly as he could. He even before the meeting could start, he said, meeting has been postponed to April to the Board of Education building, and that's all he said. He didn't say thank you for coming. He didn't say he was going to look forward to talking to us again and learning about our concerns. He said nothing. And I feel so sad for all the 300 people who were in this room. They came all the way here, and then he tells them that was very very disrespectful. But he mentioned he mentioned the fire code. The size of the crowd exceeded the fire code. Now, I'm not an expert in the fire code, but I remember all those meetings we had in the Board of Education last year. I've heard that there was only one door that was unlocked. The other doors were locked. No one ever talked about the fire code back then, but now all of a sudden they're talking about the fire code. So now, again, I'm not an expert. I'm just using my common sense. In this building here, we got those 4 glass doors over there. We have a door over here. So why do they say that this room is not safe, but they say that the Board of Education building is safe? All right, so but also, I mean, if they want to have it in the Board of Education building, that's fine, that's okay. But all I'm saying is that we're probably not going to get as big a crowd over there because it's a long way to drive. Okay, we've heard from several people who have alternate suggestions that they say that there are other big rooms around here in this municipal complex that we could possibly use. Or some people have suggested the gymnasium and the high school. So I don't know which is best. Okay, but you know, I think the reason I think is we're getting this big crowd now is that, you know, thousands and thousands of people go to that ShopRite on Elizabeth Avenue. If there's already 2 warehouses that border that store, if they put in this new warehouse, that ShopRite is going to be surrounded by 3 warehouses. So anybody who wants to go in that ShopRite, they're going to have to fight their way through a wall of warehouses and trucks just to get in there. You know, that's why we have all these hundreds and hundreds of people coming in here to protest. All right, so, you know, so thanks a lot.
Anyone else?
Good evening. Arnold Schmidt, 134 Hickory Road, Somerset. A high-density apartment building with 200 units, including over 330 bedrooms, is what is already the most densely populated section of Franklin, right on Eastern Avenue. The county highway that already has the most accidents in Somerset County is irrational. Franklin's master plan was meticulously prepared by our township planners and planning board to show where retail, general business, industrial, residential properties, and more would be best suited for the proper mix of development. We currently have empty apartments in Franklin and undeveloped land zoned for residential. We should welcome the property owners with residentially zoned land to build new housing for families to purchase or rent. But new development needs to be built where our master plan designed it to be. Levin's apartment building would be a monumental and forever unsightly reminder to the voters of Franklin of the ineffectiveness of our leaders who ignored our expectations. This is not a time to give in to bullying when the bully has zero negotiating leverage whatsoever. We have no reason to fold to Levin's demands. This is a time to stand up for what your base recently overwhelmingly told you and what the masses want. No residential where it does not belong. Levin may think they have leverage because of some inappropriate promises that may have been made by people without the authority to make them. If approved, this 3 or 4 story apartment building would be 1,000 times more of an eyesore to our community than the vacant building that currently stands there. If approved, it will eventually negatively impact our infrastructure needs and costs, leading to higher property taxes for all residents. If this first Levin domino is allowed to fall, it will open the gates for every other retail, general business, or commercial property owner to apply for the same variances up and down Route 27, Cedar Grove Lane, and all over Franklin, and our zoning board and council will likely be unable to say no because of the precedent it sets, leading to thousands of more residential units in many other areas, contrary to what our master plan allows. Public safety. 11 residents will attempt to walk to the McDonald's right outside their front door through this heavily trafficked parking lot and across this now dangerous entrance roadway off JFK Boulevard, where FedEx trucks, Amazon trucks, Stop and Shop delivery trucks, and cars go to their destinations. We will be culpable when the first young child, teenager, or adult is injured or worse by one of these vehicles when trying to get to McDonald's or across Eastern Avenue to several other establishments also within walking distance. Yes, the road that is currently being studied with DOT and federal highway funds due to the currently highly dangerous conditions. Our culpability will be because we will have allowed Levin to build residential where it does not belong, right across from these attractive nuisances, which will result in more vehicle and pedestrian accidents than we already have in this area. In no way would this benefit Franklin residents, especially those living in, shopping at, commuting through this area, or traveling to get to 287 to go to Bridgewater, Piscataway, or other shopping destination stores that we do not have in Franklin, where we can purchase essential items such as clothing and home goods. It is not the job of the people of Franklin to bail out a billion-dollar corporation by allowing them to build housing, much less a high-density housing, where it does not belong. Levin needs to live up to their own hype, their own accolades as posted on their website that celebrates their expertise, as posted on their website, celebrates their expertise in retail and commercial property management and find options that work within our master plan. That is their job. We are not Levin's sugar daddy. We should not be held hostage to their incompetence. If Levin wants to keep paying property taxes for an empty building, which they do, I, for one, welcome their contributions. It is not the zoning board's responsibility to grant substantial zoning changes to our master plan, and we need to have the township attorney let this be known to the zoning board, as you unanimously voted to do last year. Hopefully, nothing has changed since then. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Anyone else at all looking to speak? Okay. I'll motion then to close the public portion.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of closing public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Public portion is closed. So I'm not going to answer particulars about either project that was mentioned tonight. If you look at the filing for the B9 warehouse, things I said in this session and in other sessions, and the things you said in session are quoted in the lawsuit. So anything I say about the particulars of these projects, anything other council members say about the particulars of these projects, can and will be used against us. Can and will be used against you. It is not in your interest for us to answer those questions. If you put enough pressure on us, some of us might. That's not in your interest. And particularly with the Kmart project, because if the zoning board were to approve it, one option is for it to be appealed to this council. And if we've made statements beforehand, that may not work in towards the end of what you desire. As far as having viewed a market plan, no, I haven't. As far as police, fire, water, all those things, those are all reviewed by various experts throughout the town, so that's part of the application process. I've not seen a long-range plan for water. I've always been concerned about how population growth will affect water. Maybe Mr. Vornlocker.
I believe that our primary supplier, New Jersey American Water, has a long-range water plan on their website, so you might want to check the New Jersey American Water website. We don't treat water in Franklin Township. We purchase water from two major suppliers, about 75% from New Jersey American Water and about 25% from New Brunswick Water. And the water is, all water allocations are overseen by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the New Jersey Water Supply Authority in the case of the Delaware and Raritan Canal, which is where New Brunswick draws their water from. So the water, all of the information I think you're looking for can be found primarily on the New Jersey American Water website.
No. As far as Mr. Johnston's comments about not hearing the case of Onyx because of the fire code, I'm staring at the fire code limits of how many people can be in this room. It's posted right there next to the clock. You're correct. You are not an expert on fire code.
Can you read that one from there?
No.
I was going to say, because I walked over there and read it. It says 210, so I believe by Mr. Johnston's estimate of 300 people, we were exceeding the fire code occupancy load for this room.
And the reason why other rooms aren't used, such as the gymnasium, et cetera, is because they were all considered, but they would not work with the video so that we would not be able to video them and present them on streaming. Well, we didn't stream them. We still couldn't stream them, but we couldn't put them on YouTube as we do all the other meetings. So there's rhyme and there's reason to it. As far as Mr. Orsini goes, can he be rude? Yes. He can be rude to me sometimes, too. It's part of his charm. But Mr. Orsini stuck his neck out about 15 years ago at great political risk to himself to stop a 600-home project between Bennix Lane and Veronica. And he then worked very hard on the recall along with me to make that happen. So Mr. Orsini, who understands land use far better than I ever will, far better than most people except maybe Mr. Chase, has done quite a bit for this town and has done it at great personal risk to himself. Let's see. As far as the Meadows land goes, I do encourage people to join and contribute. They do preserve those houses for us, and if we didn't have the Meadows Foundation, then the town would be paying much more money. So I thank them for their participation. I'll let Mr. Vornlocker answer about community participation in the Easton Ave study. Pardon? Oh, trees, right.
I can get that one, too.
Okay.
That was, the one question is for me, and the one question is for council members as far as considering smaller caliper trees to be considered for payment by developer.
I think I'm done. You can go ahead.
Okay, so just to further the discussion about fire code, because I do want to finish this, because I think that a grave disservice would be made if we didn't address the comment that Mr. Johnston made about locked doors. Absolutely, totally false. All right? Any door in that building is a push-out door for people to exit a building in the event that there was a fire. So to give anyone an indication that any of those doors were locked at that facility on Route 27 would be a disservice to everyone involved. In fact, as I said, the fire occupancy load for this room is 210. And obviously, if there was in excess of 210, then I wasn't here, but if I had been contacted, I would have instructed Mr. Orsini to postpone the meeting so that we could relocate it to another location. Obviously, I didn't need to do that because he did it on his own, which was the correct thing to do. The other question about trees was from Dr. Chase. As far as your question about a maintenance plan, Dr. Chase, CME, the Township Consulting Engineering firm, prepared documents to be considered by the Shade Tree Commission as far as a cost estimate for them to prepare maintenance plans and planting plans for our street trees, do a tree inventory of our street trees and our developed park trees, as well as maintenance plan, the tree inventory, and a planting plan for Memorial Forest. And I believe that the Shade Tree Commission gave some consideration to it. I would look for a shake up and down of a head of a member of the Shade Tree Commission who's present in the meeting right now. Yes, you. Was that considered by the Shade Tree Commission yet? That CME prepared cost estimates for all of those things that I just said, and they were given to the chairman of the Shade Tree Commission for consideration by the Shade Tree Commission as far as whether they recommended moving forward with those projects by the township engineering firm. Very good. So that's what my understanding was as well. We're now in budget season, so we would move forward with that project once the budget
For the listening audience, the answer was yes.
Yeah, it was. It was yes. So that I hope, Dr. Chase, answers the question that they have now provided us with the cost estimates to prepare all of those plans. As far as watering the trees, the Public Works Department will continue to water newly planted trees as they have done in the past, including the newly planted ones on JFK Boulevard. And I think that was the questions that I had to answer. There were many other things said, and as the mayor said, I don't want to be named in the action either, so I won't comment on all of the development related.
I got distracted. Did you answer the Easton Ave study community
So
participation?
that it's still in the banner on our website. If you wish to participate in the Easton Avenue study, that's being conducted by Somerset County, I encourage you to do so. If you go to our website, there's as soon as you go to the homepage is the information on it. I can tell you that it is also www.eastonav.com is the website, if I'm not mistaken. Quickly for you. And going to Easton Avenue project and stay informed. You can follow them in a number of different ways. You can email eastonavenuecorridor@gmail.com if you want to make comments or if you have questions about what you see on the website. The link is there on our homepage. I encourage everyone to do it. There's also a survey. And there will be public meetings regarding it, and there will be community outreach as well as part of the project. So that's where I would direct people for the Easton Avenue study.
Okay. Does the council want to make any comments?
Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah. While we're on the subject about I know the Eastern Avenue Corridor study is of great concern, and I appreciate the way you explained it. I know Guy in the back and a couple other people that have been communicating with me, and among themselves were interested in more of the shorter-term issues, and I know you and I communicated about a town hall type meeting or a gathering that people from the public can come including them, who have some interesting ideas and questions. Now, just wondering, not to put you on the spot, but I know it's tough to kind of schedule all of staff, and
Well, I had
working on
asked
that.
you to
and
give
I'm
me dates, and as soon as you give them to me, Councilman, I will schedule it.
Oh, I'm sorry. The last email was asking what dates you thought would be best, but I can give you
I
dates.
don't
thought
believe
was
that
giving you
I should
courtesy.
make that decision
Okay.
as to when you want to have a meeting.
All right.
You,
Well, you're up
if
last.
you provide me with dates, I'll contact the
Okay.
county, I'll contact the police department, and I'll set up the meeting for you.
Okay.
I don't get to tell you.
Perhaps I misinterpreted
you
your
get to
last
tell me.
email, that you were going to get back to me, but I will do that, sure. We'll come up with 2 or 3. I'm sure the group is pretty flexible. But hopefully that can happen maybe at least later in March. Other than that, because of what the attorney said, as suggested, or the mayor mentioned, I conferred with the attorney, I'm not going to read some, not my opinion, but what was literally just information that I think addresses some of the questions, literally direct in quotes from Levin, but I think it's better after conferring with the attorney that anybody interested here tonight or out in the public, please go to their site, learn more about economics, commerce, Franklin, this site, and the ability of, anything involved with this. I don't want to get into any details, but that website is levinmgt.com, levinmanagement.com. And I think, you'll maybe get some more input, because it's best, as was mentioned, that we don't get into any details. So,
We don't want to have to recuse ourselves because of something we've said if it comes before council.
right, so that's the going on the attorney's suggestion of just, but please, engage, whatever your opinions are. We're always happy to hear them. The other thing was, I think the tree, that's about that tree ordinance. It's kind of a tricky situation, because if I remember right, the ordinance is a little contradiction where the replacement size could be 2.5, but they're considered only needing to be replaced if it's 4 inches. So I don't think it was meant to be contradict itself, but I'd like to see it be one consistent number. What's good for considering a tree for replacement should be the same for cutting it down and being specified. I'm not an expert. 2.5 sounds reasonable. Maybe it's 3. But yes, I think it should be consistent and perhaps lowered. There was one other question that was asked. Excuse me. Other than anything to do with Levin. The Van Wickle house. Well, I'll wait until comments, because I don't think that was a question. That was more of my feedback. But the tree issue and, I think that's it, so I'll save the rest for council comments. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to council comments. Your call, Mr. Wright. You want to go first or last? First. That'll give you a chance to think of the other thing you want to add.
Mr. Mayor, just a couple things real quick. Recently, I've always come in here and I've always heard the same thing. The people in the fourth ward, we need to have things in the fourth ward. They can't afford this, they can't afford that. Well, listen, there are more than just African Americans in the fourth ward. We have Caucasian Americans, Europeans, Indian Americans, Russian, Middle Eastern, Native tribes in this neighborhood. I mean, think about it. We all live amongst each other, so why is it that 4 blocks off of Hamilton Street either way, a little bit off of Franklin Boulevard, a little bit off of JFK, encompasses the entire 4th ward? Don't ever come in here and say that, because as soon as it comes out your mouth, I'm going to stop you and say, think about what you're about to say, because it's going to be stupid, and I'm going to cut you up for it. Second, the YMCA, I hear, Everybody wants it in the fourth ward. Well, hold up. Where the hell are you going to put it in the fourth ward? Come on. If you can find the land, step it up. Now, we have down at the Consulata, and we, when we purchased that, the Board of Education took a little piece. All the rest of it, except the YMCA footprint, was spent by open space. Everything else we pay for out of the township funds. Why? You can't do nothing with open space, except open space, and we want to put a YMCA there. Now, again, what am I going to do it in my backyard? Stupid. Because you live on Elizabeth Avenue, Buttonwood, Charles's neighborhood, Councilman Rahm's neighborhood, Jimmy Vassanella, Councilwoman Sheepa's neighborhood. How the hell are you going to get there? We all got to struggle to get there. So it's not one person, it's everybody. Got to get there. So let me ask you a question. Hell, you know how to get to work. So if you have a problem getting there, well, everyone's going to have a problem getting there. It's not just you. So we have to work on that. Now, when I went to the YMCA years ago, that's where I learned how to swim. And the Board of Education got with the township, who got with the county, to help sponsor a bus. So almost every school had a bus that took you to the YMCA and brought you back. That's how we went to the YMCA for after school for study. That's how we got to the YMCA for swimming classes and other things, naturally. But everyone's got to get there. It's not just me. Everybody's got to get there. I would love to put it in my backyard, but everyone's got to get around there. Franklin Boulevard, actually Hamilton Street. I love Hamilton Street so much that I took a flying leap and I went to our counselor, our attorney, Louis Raynon, and I said, Lou, urban enterprise zone. Man, I read about it. I love it. Can I get it? Councilman Rahm, I called you. I called Councilman Ed, and I said, you guys got to get on board because I know what you got. And I got our our attorney, and he threw cold water on me. I says, what's the problem here? I mean, we got the whole setup, but this guy here tells me no. And I said, you're working for me, dude. So here's the problem. We live in Somerset County, and we all know what happens to Somerset County. We are a rich county. Now, I try to get around now, but our esteemed attorney, who I'm going to fire next week, he said, Carl, it's not going to work. What number are we, Lou?
254.
254 down on the pipe to get a urban enterprise zone. I can't leap over anybody. I begged him, leap over somebody. It's not going to work. So we think about what we're going to do. You look at everything. I even went down further on 27, and it just wasn't going to work. So that ended that. Now, to a subject that's controversial, but I got to take a stab at it. Some residents, like you, have all come up and said, what's with the buildings? And I say, well, we need to bring life to the fourth ward as far as Hamilton Street. We got to bring some commercial. Now, the story goes like this. If you build commercial on the first floor and you put residents on the second floor and the third floor, well, the residents on the second and the third floor will lose the commercial on the first floor. And, it makes sense. Somerville, done it. New Brunswick has done it. And everyone's happy. But you see, we're different. We're not downtown. We don't have a downtown. We're not there. So we got to make the script happen. Now, I represent the Fourth Ward, not developers, and I've been given my marching orders because you know a councilman gets marching orders, and I got them. So, with that, contrary to everybody else out there, I guess that's the word I want to use, I want to stop the building on Hamilton Street. And it's not a thing of pausing the building. You can't do that. You got to script the overlay that we put there that allows you to build higher than 2 stories or 1 story, however the thing works. Now, I know I'm going to get pushback. Some of my council members are going to give me pushback because we want to place commercial where commercial can go to stimulate the area because it's been dead and I've been here. I've been married 32 years. 32 years I've been married, so I've been here 32 years. I live in a compound with my cousins, her cousins, the uncles, the aunts. Unbelievable. Now, how am I going to do that is the question. And that's what I have to think on because I have to get an ordinance somewhere and I got to get it introduced somewhere and I got to get everybody to vote on it somewhere. And everyone's going to give me all kind of good stuff, but I take it this way. At the last Hamilton Street advisory meeting, the developers were there, and I asked, how are these kids going to cross the street? No, how are these kids going to play? I think we need a little small, give me a little small corner of a pocket park. I'm not asking for nothing big, just a little small corner. You know what I'm saying? Give me a half a block, give me something. And they said, well, Neiman Williams Park is 3 blocks away. Okay, it's 3 blocks away. And they can go to that park. Yeah, makes sense. But here's the gotcha. How the hell are they going to get over Hamilton Street? How are they going to do it? It's a major thoroughfare. How are they going to get across Hamilton Street? Hell, you got to pick and choose how you're going to dodge the car. It's got the rumble strip on one part, but unless you go down to the fire department, that's how you can catch it. Or you go down to what used to be CVS, I think, or Rite Aid, you can cross the street. Unless you got your big brother, big sister, your mother, your father, your aunt, your cousins, you're not going to get across that street. So that's why I said, how are you going to fix that? And they all looked at me. There was a little snicker in the room, and I was like, really? You're going to snicker? This is important stuff we got here. This is very important. It may not be important to you, but it's important to me and everyone else that lives here. Then we come to solar panels. We have some people with solar panels in the neighborhood. And we all know that the shadow of a building is real big. Now, if I have solar panels and I've been sucking up that sun, which means I got money coming, and you build your building and I don't get the sun anymore, well, who pays me money because I got a solar panel up there and you just blocked it? How's that going to work? I got no question on that. No answer on that. Nobody did anything. They just looked at me and stared. And I'm saying to myself, these are some of the questions that you ask. Now, fortunately, some of that stuff sort of worked out, I got to admit. But at the same time, no, I can't do it. I got to stop that little puppy from going on. And yes, I'm on the land use committee here in Franklin Township. But I got to go outside of that thing and just cut this thing right in half. Like I say, I take my marching orders from the people that voted for me, put me here. My seat, this is where they put me. And do what I got to do. Now, I think I've taken up enough time to speak and tell you everybody what I wanted and how I want to do it. But I'm definitely in that neighborhood. But again, I hear what people are saying, commercial on the bottom, housing on the top. They go to the bottom. They do all this kind of business. But I can't do it. So, that being said, Mr. Mayor, I'm done.
All in favor of Mr. Wright having taken up enough time, say aye. Councilwoman Shipa Udin.
I don't know if I can follow all that.
If you stay away for 2 minutes, you have a lot to say.
You said a lot of important things, so I just have a handful of things. Last Saturday, we celebrated the 4th Annual International Mother Language Day, and I was honored to be there. We had about 10 kids of our own from our community that attended the event, and they spoke in their own mother tongue language, ranging from, I think we had a kid from, he was speaking Spanish, we had someone speaking Korean, Indian, Bengali. I mean, it was a nice event to go into and see the diversity of our community. And I really enjoyed that event, especially seeing our kids get involved now with our community events. It just shows us that, you know, we are going in the right direction of now blooming our younger generations to come and be part of events. So very nice event. This Sunday, we have the Ramadan lighting ceremony that will take place in the Senior Center, and that's March 3rd from 3 to 5. Everyone's welcome to join for that event. And the last thing that I had is a question either for Mayor or Bob. I'm not sure if you guys addressed one of Councilman Ted's question. I just probably missed it about watering trees. So for planting trees, how are we watering them today? Is that something we're not doing all of it?
We are watering them. What they were looking for, the Shade Tree Commission in particular, was a comprehensive maintenance plan for newly planted trees going out 3 to 5 years. We currently water trees when we plant them, but they wanted a comprehensive maintenance plan for 3 to 5 years on newly planted trees. We are not equipped to prepare that type of plan, so there is a certified tree expert on staff at CME, and we would engage them, but it will cost money, and why so. In this particular case, I was looking for the recommendation of the Shade Tree Commission because it would be using Shade Tree Trust funds.
Thank you.
You got it.
And that's all I had. Thank you.
Councilman Vasanella.
Speaking of Shade Tree, not sure why. Maybe it was a technical glitch, but for some reason the building was locked, so they couldn't have their meeting on Thursday. But I know that they've been working on that idea for a long time and communicating to the manager. And like you said, well, I'm not sure if he's saying we should do it, but I think we should do it. And but yes, we have to determine the specific funding source. Although I don't think it will be all that expensive, it will take an expert to do it. And the idea is we lose a lot of trees after the first year or two. I mean, an incredible amount, which sometimes it just happens. I mean, no matter how good you take care of them, you're going to get things that die, especially with our weather patterns. But I think a lot can be salvaged or not. Let's just say things will be blooming a lot more and healthier. So I look forward to that. I know it's something Shade Tree Commission is really dedicated to, and I think we'll hopefully do that this spring, come up with a conclusion and a plan, a conclusion for the funding. Someone was mentioned the Van Wickle House. In my opinion, just my opinion, the most best kept, unfortunately, the most best kept secret in Franklin. Enough was said about it. I'll tell you, my first encounter was in, I think it was 1989 at the Van Wickle House, and I went to a second cousining's christening, And it's like, where the heck am I going for a christening? And I tell you, it was the most beautiful place for any reason to gather. And I've been back to the building, not as many times as I would like and should, but I've been to several of the buildings over the years. But please do engage and follow through with the suggestion of joining or at least attending some of their events. Public safety meeting is postponed till next month, so there's nothing with that presently. And thank you for bringing your comments and your concerns. As I hopefully understand, we can't get into details, but I encourage people to do their research and come, whatever your opinion is, whatever it is. Bring it to council or whatever. I guess there's a hearing in April. I don't know the exact date. The zoning board, we don't get involved directly with them. But thank you so much for bringing your comments, and please continue to bring them because we want to hear from you about any issue, especially ones that will have a big effect for generations to come. That's it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Francois.
Okay, I never write down what I'm going to say, but I wrote it down today. So I'm going to read it, and I never read. As I continue my term as your councilwoman, please know whether it is to help lower taxes, fight crime, stand by our first responders and veterans, invest in child care, invest in our children, invest in our families, and invest in our infrastructure, or to keep our air and water clean. I share your commitment to protecting our Jersey values, and I share your commitment to protect our quality of life here in Franklin Township. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. World traveler Raman Barrison.
May I yield my time to Councilman Wright?
I have Mayor, I'm done because I'm sick and I need to leave.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Councilman. You're my favorite councilman right now. Councilman Olijaka.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mayor. I was privileged yesterday to attend the Iranian event yesterday to mark the 700 days of the war. The event was marked with pictures. It was a pathetic event. Rekindles my past experience I had during my last remembered me. War is not a good experience, especially when kids. Peace always reign, not war.
Thank you. Councilman Karazi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. I wanted to echo what Councilwoman mentioned, Francois, about our commitment to listen to our citizens and make sure that whatever decision we make is at the best interest of Franklin and its residents. So, I attended a couple of committee meetings. We had a great trail meeting during which we reviewed various projects. The team is finalizing the updating of the trail brochures and will be having them printed at the county print shop. And the new maps use digitalized trail data, making them more accurate than the previous maps. Also, the pathways and trail plan is in the final draft and currently being reviewed by the Open Space Advisory Committee. In addition, the TAC team continues to work on the implementation of the green infrastructure along the newly paved path at Naaman Williams Park, and this project actually is implemented through a $20,000 grant from Sustainable Jersey. And we also organizing events and hikes for Earth Day, which is April 22nd, and the National Trail Day, which is June 1st. And we are hoping that community members can take advantage of our trails. We have over 7 miles of trails in our township. 70 miles of trails in our township. And thank you, Bob. And so the maps will be there, and hopefully you'll enjoy them. Franklin Foundation Committee, that was another one that I attended after electing the officers for the coming year. The team agreed to award 2 $5,000 scholarship to 2 graduating high school best and brightest students. So if you have anybody who's graduating from high school, please make sure that you apply for this scholarship. There are 2 meetings that is coming up. One is tomorrow, Human Relations Commission, and that is tomorrow across the hall. It starts at 7 o'clock, and we have a special guest speaker, our Public Safety Director, Mrs. Mayweather. So please join us on that day. And also, we have Advisory Board of Health meeting, which is going to be on March 6th, and there will be 2 guest speakers from our own township, Safi and Tara, who will review the health assessment. And the goal of the team is to identify a couple of items that will have the most positive impact on the health of our community members, especially in Ward 4. The meeting starts at 7:30 p.m. I also attended a couple of meetings. There was a Black History Month event, which was last Sunday in Senior Community Center, and as well as I joined a couple of our colleagues for the event which was organized by the Ukrainian Church to commemorate the 2nd anniversary of the war.
Thank you. As for my comments, thank you all for coming. I really do appreciate you coming. It gets us out of our bubble, gets us to hear what you're thinking. But as I said during the election, leadership isn't about grandstanding. Leadership is sometimes about shutting up. And with that, I will shut up. And Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things that I'd just like to report. First, and I know she's gone, but I also know that some of her fellow Meadows Foundation members are still here. Sarah Malone, who was recognized by the Environmental Commission for her stewardship, was my very first appointment to the Shade Tree Commission after I became Township Manager. I met Sarah at a Sustainable Raritan River Initiative meeting at the Blaustein School in New Brunswick. We got to talking before the event started, and she indicated that she lived in Franklin and that she was a master gardener. And I said, by any chance, would you want to participate on the Shade Tree Commission? Because we had some vacancies then. And she said, well, that sounds interesting. And lo and behold, she put in 10 years of tremendous work with the Shade Tree Commission. And I've already thanked her for it personally, but I just wanted to recognize her again tonight. So that was one thing. Another, and this is on a staff member note, for those of you who have had anything to do with the Recreation Department over the last 6 years, you obviously have gotten to know a man named Bo Burtis. Bo Burtis's last day with the township is Friday. Bo has taken a position as the Deputy Director of the Monmouth County Park Commission, and so clearly a step up in his career, and I can't quite blame him, and I can't quite match them. So Bo is going to move on to bigger and better things. Temporarily, at least for the time being in his place, Wendy White, who is our Deputy Director, will be the Acting Director. For those of you who know Mary Ann Regan, who's currently our Senior Program Coordinator, she will be the Acting Deputy Director until we have people in place for that. Bo, I'm sure, is not listening, so I can say, and I don't think he'll watch this tape before Friday, so we'll be celebrating his moving on and promotion, so to speak, on Friday, as staff members will kind of cut the cake with him. no secret, nobody tell him. But I certainly, he has big shoes to fill. He did a great job, and we brought him on originally as the deputy director under Alice Osipowicz. When Alice retired, Bo was the natural to progress into that position. And we will not let you down, I promise. We will do as well, if not better, moving forward, and we'll continue to progress. So that is one thing I wanted to report. And then I'm going to get to do something I don't get to do very often. I'm going to get to report on an upcoming event that I am kind of shocked that several council members up here didn't report on, and that is that there will be a Ramadan lighting ceremony at the Senior Center. Oh, you did. I missed it. See? I got to pay better attention, right, Sheepa?
I even had it.
Well, I was kind of hoping she stole your thunder,
You can
too,
still
right?
say it again.
I could say it again.
Yes.
Sunday, 3 to 5, Community Senior Center, and I understand that there will be wonderful refreshments served as well. And I know that Councilwoman Udine and the recreation staff and my special projects manager, Safi Callan, put a lot of work into having these events. And so everyone who is interested in learning a little bit about Ramadan and celebrating with your fellow township residents, I encourage you to attend. And that's it, Mr. Mayor. That's I see. I was going to get you, and you got me. There you go.
He just doesn't listen. Okay. There is no council discussion item. Approval of the minutes. I present the following minutes to the Township Council for their approval. Township Council Work Session, regular meeting, February 13th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone would like to change an item, correct an item? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois? Abstain. I was in Vegas on vacation. Councilman Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine? Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Approval of the warrants. Warrants in the amount of $14,113,927.89 on February 27th, 2024 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Do we have a motion on the warrants?
I move that the warrants as read be paid.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone like to pull an item? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine? Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
There's no second readings of ordinances. There's no ordinance introduction and first reading. Consent agenda. The items A through N, as listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting, are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, and anyone like to pull an item or have an item explained?
So, Mr. Mayor, there was one thing that I just kind of wanted to draw attention to on behalf of all of you up here, which was item,
L?
Yes, L, thank you. Item L, which is the authorization to execute a grant agreement with the Board of Education utilizing American Rescue Plan Act funds to fund a health care facility that will be run by the nonprofit Zufall Health for our students and students' families that will be built on the grounds of the Hamilton Street Middle School campus. That's kind of a unique relationship that exists between municipality and Board of Education. I think ours is unique. Oftentimes I talk to my peers, and that relationship does not exist in their towns. And this one is to benefit initially students and their families, but ultimately will benefit all who are in need of health care, regardless of financial or citizenship status or insurance status. And that it is something that is a very in my opinion, a very wonderful thing that we are utilizing those rescue plan funds for.
I'll just point out item M, the council is open space money to help the Meadows preserve in their efforts to preserve. Anyone else? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Karazi? Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Old business 2024 boards, committees, and commissions. Does anyone have a appointment, nomination? Seeing none, we have to, we appointed someone to the alternate position that was held by Councilwoman Francois on the Sewage Authority, and there is an opening as a full member on the Sewage Authority. I'd like to nominate her, her being Kimberly Francois, to the full member opening on the Sewage Authority. Any other nominations for that position?
A second.
Hearing none, we can do this by acclamation. All in favor of appointing Kimberly Francois as a full member of the Sewage Authority, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Congratulations. Make sure someone calls her to let her know that that's happened. Any other appointments, nominations? So item number 18, I present the following resolutions to Township Council for their approval. Resolution 24091, authorize executive session, attorney-client privilege, Levin management application. Do we have a motion on that item?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is there going to be any action taken?
I'll get to that, Mr. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
No.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, there being no further action of the Township Council afterwards, we will not be taking action after the executive session. What we'll be doing is returning to the meeting to close the, to come out of executive session and to close the meeting. So taping is going to stop at this time. We are now going to stop the taping and adjourn to executive session. Be well, Franklin.